Welcome back to Normal Baseball. Today we are going to be diving into the mysterious free agency of Shohei Ohtani. I'm Alex Normal Dog. That's Lewis. And today, like I said, we are going to be talking about Shohei Ohtani, potentially the biggest free agent in baseball history. Not just this season, but in baseball history. Coming off his second unanimous MVP in the last 3 years, Ohtani is certainly the hottest free agent this offseason. Every team could use a guy like Ohtani, but obviously only one team will wind up getting him. Lewis, Shohei Ohtani.
Shohei Ohtani, man, it's an interesting case. I mean, this guy is a once in a million years type of player, and I'm happy to say that we've gotten to watch him so far. On the Los Angeles Angels, but now he's a free agent. Let's find out, where we think he's going to go, what the odds say, and maybe we'll throw in a prediction at the end. How's that?
Sounds good for me. I am very excited for this. Very excited to talk about where we think he might wind up going. That's a big thing. No one really knows as of right now. We'll get into that a little bit more. But in case you're not familiar with Shohei Ohtani's game, he is a two-way superstar. Two-way in the sense of he pitches on the mound once every 5 days. He is a starting pitcher. But he is also in the lineup every single day as the DH. And not only does he DH, but he hits absolute bombs last season. Like I said, unanimous MVP, hit 44 home runs, led the American League, had a 1.066 OPS, led the league in OPS and OPS plus, 95 runs batted in, 26 doubles, and all that with missing about 20 games. So the guy is insane, not to mention what he did on the mound last season. He went 10-5 with a 3.14 ERA in 23 starts, 132 innings pitched, struck out 167 batters. Absolutely incredible. Could have been in the Cy Young contention had he pitched the entire season. Lewis, what have you seen from a guy like Shohei Ohtani? We've never seen a player like this before, ever in baseball history. What have you seen from watching him just throughout his career?
What I have seen throughout Shohei Ohtani's career has been nothing short of spectacular. I think that's the only way to put it. The guy has won 2 MVPs, very easily could have been 3 had, of course, Aaron Judge not had one of the single best hitting seasons of all time for the American League back in 2022. Really blown away at the durability that he had for the few seasons, that we saw him not only pitch but also hit for full seasons. It was impressive. It was breathtaking. And I genuinely, looking back on it, and I will probably do this even when he retires, which thank God that's a long way away, but when the game does not have Shohei Ohtani anymore, we're going to look back and be like, oh my God, we witnessed history. Like legitimate history, Alex. This guy is...
It's going to be fun.
He mashes the ball like a prime David Ortiz, and honestly is one of the best pitchers in the game when he's completely on. We've seen him go for 9-inning shutout. We've seen him do that before. We've seen him really carry the load on the pitching side for the Angels when they needed a bona fide star on the mound. Guy does it all. Loving it.
He really does do it all. Like I said, we've never seen a player like this ever. It's been really fun to watch. I remember in 2018 when he was coming over, not knowing much about him and saying, wow, look, the Angels just signed this guy who pitches and hits. I wonder if he'll continue to pitch and hit in MLB, if he'll be able to sustain that. And he has done more than sustain that. He is pretty much a shoo-in for the MVP every single year as long as he's healthy on both sides of the ball. And so far, that's exactly what's happened. In both his 2021 MVP season and his 2023 MVP season, he pitched in 23 games, so he was healthy for most of the year and had very similar ERAs and obviously did it with the bat as well. However, going into next season, obviously he is a free agent. Going into next season, he will not be pitching. He will not be on the mound in 2024 due to an elbow injury that he suffered towards the end of the 2023 season. We didn't exactly know how severe that injury was or what it necessarily meant for Ohtani and next year. All we knew is that he wasn't going to be pitching next season because he had an elbow procedure. It came out that was a form of Tommy John surgery, which is the second time in his career that he has gotten Tommy John surgery. So coming back, he got it in 2018, did not pitch in 2019, and we didn't really see him pitch until 2021. So almost 3 years later from when he got the surgery. This time he's hoping to take one season off pitching and come back again. It's hard enough to come back from one Tommy John surgery. A second Tommy John surgery might be even more difficult to come back from.
Yes, it's difficult for anybody to come back from a second Tommy John surgery and perform to the level that is expected of a major league pitcher. However, Shohei Ohtani is a unicorn. He's, like I just said, a once-in-a-generation type of player. I think if there's anyone in the game of baseball that can come back from a second Tommy John surgery, it's going to be him. I'm not going to doubt his ability whatsoever to come back and in 2025 contend for a Cy Young. I believe in him, and I think that, yes, it's upsetting that we're going to miss out on another year of Shohei Ohtani pitching, but it'll be worth it when in 2025 we're sitting here talking about, hey, we might need to really think that Shohei Ohtani is going to win an MVP and a Cy Young in the same season. Came close to it in 2022, and I think that the best is yet to come in terms of his pitching.
Yeah, I see what you are saying with you have full faith in Ohtani to come back and be the same pitcher, but you do have to look at it. If you're a team, listen, he's a free agent this offseason, and obviously before it came out about the elbow surgery, about the elbow injury, everyone was saying, look, this guy's going to literally get a 10-year contract, could be $5 million plus. But now with this injury, it does seem pretty likely that he will get a short-term contract for either 1 or 2 years, because teams aren't going to want to give him the insane amount of money that he does deserve, but they're not going to want to give him that money until they see him pitch again and see if he can still be that same pitcher. Because you're not going to throw $60 million a year at a guy who you're not even sure about in 3 years or even 2 years if he'll even be pitching or be a good viable option in your rotation. You don't know that until you see him pitch again. And I think a lot of teams are weary at giving him that big money, big long-term contract, which is why I think a short-term contract is the way to go with Shohei Ohtani this offseason. I think whatever team signs him should sign him to around a 2-year deal.
Okay. I think I've said it more than almost anyone else that I personally have listened to or spoken to about baseball since this season started. The 2+1 option, the mutual option, or what could be considered a player option, honestly, I think that's another great idea. You know, to have 1 year of him strictly hitting, which would be this 2024 season. 2025, have him do both. And if he really thrives in 2025, then guess what? The player, Shohei Ohtani, can decline his part of the option or decline the option entirely and hit the free agent market again to show teams, hey, guess what? I still got it,
I don't think you can just give him a player option if you're going to do a 2-year deal. I don't think that is a smart move if you're a team, because it would have to be a mutual option, because the team needs a way to back out if they have to. Because if after year 2 he is not the same type of guy on the mound, you can't take that chance.
Well, then another thought is
you can't take that chance because if he's not the same guy on the mound and you're supposed to be paying him $60 million the next year, he's obviously still going to opt in, because he might not be the same pitcher, but that's not his problem if you told him you were going to pay him $60 million if he wanted it. So it would have to be a mutual option or a team option, just straight up. Like, Ohtani has no say if he's signing this contract.
No way they give him a team option. But yes, I think that you're right. The mutual option is probably the best case scenario. But what will the negotiation look like? Will it have to be a strictly player option if Shohei Ohtani does want to sign with whatever team he's in contract talks with?
Yeah, it's weird to me because we were supposed to see him get this insanely crazy long-term high AAV contract, but now I just don't know. Because if you think about it, he's a $40 million a year hitter and he's a $40 million a year pitcher. But now you can't say for sure whether or not he's going to be a $40 million pitcher after this surgery, which it makes it a little confusing as to what AAV he would get if he does sign just a 2-year deal or a 2-year deal with an option for a 3rd year. I think you could see an insane kind of deal that is based on incentives for the second season, just based on if he comes back to the mound, where he places in Cy Young voting, and what his ERA is, just like a lot of incentives on the pitching side. But I think if you're talking strictly hitting, he is a $40 million a year player in your lineup, no matter which way you look at it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I understand the thought of wanting to have the incentive-based contract. My thought was to guarantee him the money. So in 2024, this upcoming season, give him basically 30-something million and then kind of backload the 2025, 2026, 2027, however long the shorter-term deal would be, but backload it. So, like, hey, if you feel confident that you're going to come back as a starter, then that first year that you're back as a starter and completely healthy, guess what? We're going to give you $65 million. We're going to give you $70 million. And we need you to throw 165 innings for us.
Right, but that would have to be the incentive.
No, with no incentive.
But then that doesn't make sense to me for a team to commit $70 million to a player that they don't genuinely have no idea if he's going to be the same pitcher on the mound. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
That's why I'm saying I think that's what I'm trying to say is I think that would be the negotiation tactic in terms of what Shohei Ohtani and his agency would want to do is say, hey, we'll take a short-term deal with you guys. Let's just hypothetical throw out any team, right? Just think of any team because let's be honest, all 30 teams in baseball would love to have Shohei Ohtani on their roster. Be like, hey, we get it. You want to have us, but guess what? If you want to have Shohei Ohtani, you're going to have to backload the deal because we'll prove to you that, hey, I can still be a top pitcher in this league while being a top hitter, and you're going to have to pay me based on the past because it's not like you can take a time machine and go forward and see what's happening then. Pay me now or don't get the opportunity at all. And there are definitely teams out there that are willing to make that payment because guess what? If Shohei Ohtani comes back to the mound and pitches the way that he did in 2022 and 2023, man, oh man, does that make that like any rotation all of a sudden becomes a top-of-the-line rotation with a Shohei Ohtani involved.
I get it, but you said it yourself. Based on the past, look at the last time Shohei Ohtani got Tommy John surgery in 2018. Yes, he didn't pitch in 2019. 2020, he pitched in 2 games. He re-injured it. He really struggled to get back on the mound after that first Tommy John surgery, and he really didn't start pitching again until 3 years later in 2021. So it is a little concerning saying, you're having another surgery. Are you going to struggle that much again to get back from this major surgery? And if you are, why would we commit $70 million guaranteed to you for the second season of your contract when we don't truly know? Because that is based on the past, is how he recovered from it the first time.
Right.
So I just don't see the appeal in committing especially like $70 million for 1 year of this guy when it could literally mean absolutely nothing in the end. I don't see a team committing that much money for 1 season guaranteed. I don't see any world where that happens unless it's, of course, one of the long-term contracts, which as time goes on seems less likely.
Okay, I can understand that. I'm in the camp of second time around for an injury with a guy like Shohei Ohtani, and the team and staff and anyone who's going to sign him is going to treat him and take care of him. I think he's going to have a better recovery because it feels like
But how would you know that?
that's just what I'm feeling. I think that
But
second time around, he
that's
knows what works for his
but
body more.
but that's not a reasonable thing for a team to say. Oh yeah, we
Look
just
at
think he's gonna do it better this time. Like that's not you
look
can't
at
commit $70 million based on the saying of we think he can do it better this time. Like I know that he's done it before, but I think you're looking at it as this is the second time he's had this surgery. That means that he knows kind of what to do now. You can look at it also by saying this is the second time he's had this surgery. It could be a lot harder to recover the second time. It's already been worked on one time before. The second time could be a lot harder to come back from, and especially be the same guy that you were in the past. That's how I see it. And I think it's way too risky for a team to just commit that money guaranteed to him without knowing
okay, I can
or
understand
just
that.
based on feelings.
The thing that I'm looking at the most is, and this might be a little bit of a stretch comparison, but I want you to hear me out.
Oh God,
Ronald Acuna Jr. with the Atlanta Braves.
not a pitcher.
I'm not saying that he is a pitcher. I'm just saying, look at the injury. He tore his ACL, right? Then he comes back the next season, and he looked okay. Everyone was like, oh, I'm not sure. But guess what? Coming into that 2023 season where he won the MVP while stealing 70 bases and hitting 40 home runs, kind of an all-time season, we saw how dominant he truly was. It took him time. He figured it out. And I think that Shohei Ohtani, yes, he took his time the first time and had to figure it out from 2018 to 2021, the 2 seasons that he first pitched, really, for full seasons. Yes, you have to look at that. But I think second go around for Shohei, he's going to know his body. His body is going to be able to recover faster from it. I'm going to trust that if I'm a ball club, especially a ball club that needs to win in the next few years, like some of the teams that we might talk about where he's going later. I think genuinely you kind of have to put your big boy pants on and say, I have to trust you. I have to trust my medical staff that I pay this amount of money for. I have to trust it all because guess what?
That just doesn't.
We're given the opportunity to have one of the greatest players of all time in baseball history on our roster.
First of all, I will just say I don't like the Acuna comparison whatsoever. Acuna's not a pitcher, and I think it literally just ends at that, in my opinion, for the conversation. I don't think you can go on with that argument when you're not even comparing him to another pitcher and not comparing him to the same surgery. Acuna didn't get Tommy John, so I don't think that is very comparable in that aspect. I also don't think the Tommy John surgery will have anything to do with his ability to hit, so that aspect of it doesn't make sense for me either. And then going on to the second thing that you said, again, I just don't see a team saying we just think we trust that he'll come back the same. I just don't see a team doing that. I just don't see that as being possible. It's tough because I'm not saying that I think that he's not going to come back just as good. I'm saying that I don't think that's a gamble that you can really take. Even if you're trying to win now, it just doesn't make any sense to me, in my opinion.
Okay.
I will say, I think no matter what kind of contract we see him get, year one will be around, $36 to $40 million. No matter what. I don't think he's getting more than $40 million for next year because he's not pitching. And I think he's a $40 million hitter, but I think if you're not pitching, you shouldn't be earning salary as if you were pitching. So I think regardless of what kind of contract we see next season, he probably will be making a little bit less than when he actually starts pitching again. And then, again, at that point, it just becomes how much money do they want to pay him while he is pitching,
right?
With the uncertainty of how he will come back from something like that. Not that it's impossible, but it is tough. Players have done it before. I have no doubt that Shohei Ohtani can do it. I think that he can. It's just a matter of if he will and the gamble you would have to take in order to do that.
Well, teams can even take a bigger gamble and sign him to a long-term deal. Oh, excuse me, hit the mic stand.
Yeah,
Sign him to like a 10, 11, 12-year deal with the hopes of he'll come back, he'll pitch for a few more seasons, and then as he gets older, he transitioned to strictly a DH, which sounds
well, he is strictly a DH.
just as entertaining. No, without the pitching.
Well, if he did it with the only issue I see with a long-term contract is the amount of loopholes and special. It really does depend on the situation. There's no real way to predict it, and most of the money would have to not be guaranteed if you're doing a long-term contract. Because if he, after the second year of the deal, pitches and is like, okay, well, I'm done pitching now, I'm just a DH, you're not going to be paying him $70 million every year after that. That would just be absolutely ridiculous. I think if you did see a long-term
fleece.
it would. If you did see a long-term contract, you would have to have a team option literally after every single year, because the day he stops pitching, you cannot possibly pay him that much money if he's not pitching anymore.
You could do incentives.
Right,
like
but I don't think
every
Ohtani's
year-
going to want his contract based on incentives if it's a very long-term deal.
It would need to be incentives solely based on innings pitched then at that point.
Right,
Because
I just don't think that Shohei's going to want to do that.
I agree with you. Well, Shohei himself just wants to play baseball. It's more of what does his agency want to get him in terms of a deal.
Well,
I do think that one thing that would be interesting to me and something that I've honestly contemplated a lot is what if down the line, if there were to be a long-term deal where the only incentive is innings pitched, right? Towards the back end years of that deal, the incentive for innings pitched goes down because Shohei might be saying like, hey, I don't have the durability to go 6, 7, 8 innings anymore. I can come out of the bullpen and give you 2, 3 good innings.
I don't like it.
And I don't like it either, but I think that could be a strong possibility. And it all depends on how he's feeling coming this season with the whole getting a second Tommy John. If he thinks that he can't continue his durability and continue the dominance on the mound as a starter, I could definitely see him saying, hey, I just need to become a relief pitcher or strictly a DH, which would hurt. It would hurt a lot.
I'm not sure how a long-term contract would work. It just doesn't seem like a possibility in my head at this point. At this point, I'm kind of locked in on 2-year deal, maybe with that 3rd-year option. I literally cannot possibly see a way that he gets a long-term deal that would be a win for both sides. Because if you're committing to money from a team, guaranteeing money, that's horrible. That's not going to happen. I can almost guarantee you that a team's not just going to commit that money guaranteed if it's a long-term contract. And then if you look at Shohei, I don't think he's going to want to have a contract where he's like, oh, well, I have to pitch 180 innings every year in order to get this incentive-based contract. So I don't know. I think a short-term deal is probable. I think that's what we'll expect, and I think in the next 2 or 3 years we'll be sitting here having this conversation again of where will Shohei Ohtani be signing next season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm more in on the, put it in quotes, hired gun idea for Shohei Ohtani and his bat coming into the 2024 season, and then hopefully beyond that in terms of the 2025 season, seeing him pitch.
But you got to think of potential suitors, potential teams.
Mm-hmm.
What teams are willing to risk that money? Because if you look at some of the potential suitors for Shohei Ohtani, the only team or teams that I would see being okay with committing an insane amount of money without actually knowing if that's even going to be worth it are the Dodgers and maybe the Mets. And the Mets have already been rumored to not really be making an aggressive push at Ohtani just because they don't plan on competing fully next year or even the year after that. The Dodgers, they're in it for everyone, in my opinion. So I can see them, maybe throwing some crazy money at Shohei and just saying, if it works, that would be awesome. If it doesn't work, then that sucks, but we still have an insane amount of money.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to try to I will start with you. I will be on your side right now for the whole idea of Shohei could go to the Dodgers. I agree with you that I don't think the Mets want to allocate any funds to him moving forward, which, if you're a Mets fan, that kind of sucks because Cohen does have the wallet to do it. But for the Dodgers, it would make too much sense. They literally cut their payroll in 2023 so they could save up money for what everyone assumed would be to chase after Shohei Ohtani and almost match anything that any team could give him, which would be interesting. Slotting him into that lineup, right, behind Mookie Betts, behind Will Smith, behind Freddie Freeman would be deadly. That is a team that genuinely could win almost every single game with just their lineup because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. And we know the Dodgers do have a good 5 through 9, but that 1 through 4 is banging with the best of them in all time, not just in the 2024 season. They are currently the betting favorites to land the superstar Shohei Ohtani.
Just because they have so much money.
Right, just because they have so much money. And, of course, we do have to throw in the fact that originally Shohei Ohtani signed with the Angels because he wanted to stay on the West Coast. Dodgers are still right there. They're competing. He does care a lot about competing in October come the postseason, considering that he has not gotten a taste of that yet in the MLB. But just this past season in the WBC, won the whole thing with Team Japan. And, man, was he locked in. He won MVP of the whole tournament just because that's how good he is. He's so competitive, and I know for a fact that he wants to play in October.
Of course, he wants to play in October. I think that's every player wants to play in the postseason. You don't just want to go through a whole season just for nothing. I think that's kind of obvious. In terms of the Dodgers, obviously, if he did go to the Dodgers, you do have an insanely good chance of winning. Putting him in that lineup is absolutely insane, in my opinion. And not arguably, but the Dodgers' biggest competitor might be out on Shohei. That being the Seattle Mariners. The Seattle Mariners were heavily linked to Shohei Ohtani during the 2023 season. It was just a fit that made all too much sense. They were struggling in terms of their lineup. Their lineup needed desperate help. And obviously having another arm in your rotation is insanely good too. However, now it seems like they may be out on Ohtani indefinitely because of the money that they would have to commit to him. Now, the Mariners barely missed the playoffs this past season. They are certainly looking to make the playoffs next season. And you have to think, does adding a guy like Shohei Ohtani for a short-term or long-term, does committing that money make it worth it to not sign as many other free agents that might be able to help you? So, looking at it in terms of, if you're the Mariners, by the way, I'm not saying I fully agree with this. I'm saying I do think that if the Mariners really want to win, they would spend for Shohei and they would spend for more free agents. But I think their thought process is, we'd maybe rather get a guy like Blake Snell as a pitcher, and then a guy and then maybe multiple guys like Justin Turner, and I'm trying to think of some more free agent bats.
I mean, they could just bring back Teoscar Hernandez.
Well, yes, but maybe more bigger, different guy. They want some different guys than were on the team last year.
They do need to switch up. Yes, I agree with you.
So I think that their thought process is maybe let's bring in more volume of guys that can help us at more positions rather than just getting this one guy who, yes, can hit and pitch, but next year he'll only be really hitting. And, I think that's the thought process for the Mariners, and that's why they have been rumored to be out on Shohei.
Yeah, just really quick, I would love to see Jorge Soler go to the Mariners. He would be definitely a fun player to watch in that Seattle lineup if they do not go and get Shohei. I actually also had the Mariners down as one of my, what I would consider a dark horse. A dark horse to sign him. And I did put that, would the Mariners be willing to pay that type of money for a hired gun? Not like a Julio Rodriguez who's going to be there for almost his whole career and guarantee the team a lot of money in return. Mariners might not be able just to afford him, which kind of stinks. But, what are you going to do at that point? I guess you have to say that you're out on it. But the hypothetical what if will always be there if they don't go after him. I do think that we will see the Mariners at least make a run at him, but not really get down to that final decision that we might see. Would be fun, though, to see him in Seattle. Another team.
Wait, but it has been rumored that they are pretty much out, or they are reluctant to continue talks. So
they're reluctant to
I don't
think
know.
about spending that much money.
Dark horse is hard to. I wouldn't say that they're a dark horse in my head, because they have been rumored and linked to him for a while now. So I don't think it's dark horse in the sense
Shohei
of
liked Seattle. He said that at the All-Star game this year.
Yeah, I don't think it's dark horse in a sense of we didn't really see it coming, but maybe a dark horse in a sense of we didn't think that it would wind up happening. We knew they were talking to him a lot, but we didn't really take it too seriously because we thought, the Dodgers were just going to scoop him up at the end.
Yeah, how about a long shot instead of a dark horse? Does that sound better?
Long shot's probably a little bit better
All right.
of a word to use there.
But then moving on to, and if you're okay with me moving on here from the Mariners, a team that I think genuinely might make a very, very good run for their money against the Dodgers to sign Shohei Ohtani is going to be the Chicago Cubs. They just spent $40 million on a manager. How much money are they willing to spend on a player? Especially a player like Shohei Ohtani. I definitely do see the Cubs as probably the only team that would commit to a long-term deal, just because originally the Cubs were in on Shohei when he first came over here to the United States and into MLB, and they wound up losing out to the Angels, obviously. But I genuinely do see a world where the Cubs tomorrow sign Shohei Ohtani to a 9-year, $50 million a year contract with no escalators, no incentives, no opt-outs, just Shohei, welcome to Chicago.
He would not take $50 million a year. He would want more than that. He'd want.
But no, you get what I'm saying.
At the least 60.
Yes, but I'm just spitballing. But you get what I'm saying. I think the Cubs are the only team that would really say like, hey, we're gonna long term you. We want you here. We need you now. And this team, which, let it be known, they were the first team out. I genuinely think that if they did have Shohei Ohtani last year, instead of being the first team out, they could have been the last team standing. Like, that's how big of a difference a guy like Shohei Ohtani can make on the mound and in the box. Next year, it's just going to be in the box. But guess what? He can still change the outcome of plenty of games. He was a 10-WAR player last year, and he hit and pitched. Yeah, everyone has to remember that. He was dominant on both sides of the ball.
Right, but he's not pitching next year.
But he can still change the outcome of the game in a way that not many other players can at Shohei's rate. Like, he is a very, very good player. Even if he loses half of his ability, put that in air quotes, in terms of he won't be able to pitch next year, I do think that he's still a great player and that the Cubs would be the ones to scoop him up on a long-term deal.
I agree with you in the sense of I think the Cubs probably are, in my opinion, my favorite landing spot for Ohtani. And I think that it would make so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to see Ohtani in a Cubs uniform. I don't know about the long-term thing. We talked about that already. I just don't really see any teams wanting to commit long-term to Shohei, especially like you proposed with no strings attached. I think that is
it's a gamble. It's
a gamble, but at what point does a gamble become an unreasonably ridiculous move? Because that is a ridiculous move to make. Yes, you can say, I think it's going to work out. I think there's a bigger chance that it works out. I get that. You can say that as much as you want, but I still do think that at some point it does get a little unreasonable saying like, wow, you're really gambling that much money on a guy who could just not be pitching in like 2 years.
Well, I agree with you. I'm just saying I think the Cubs are the only team that we can talk about today, that we will talk about today, that would sign him to a long-term deal.
I'd rather just talk about what teams could sign him, period, rather than just long-term, short-term. Like, just what teams we think would be aggressive
Well-
for him. And I think the Cubs are going to be very, very aggressive. You mentioned it. Craig Counsell, that contract is insane for a manager. So if they're
Yeah.
willing to spend $8 million a year on a manager, they've got to be willing to spend a lot of money on a player per year. I think you bring back a guy like Cody Bellinger, spend the money on him. That you could do for long term. Then try to get Shohei on one of those short 2-year with an option deals. And you're sitting pretty if you're the Cubs. That is a incredible offseason for the Cubs. I would like to see Ohtani in Chicago next season.
So the betting odds would agree with you. Currently, Chicago has the second best odds at plus 350 to sign Shohei Ohtani. Then moving to the third best odds, which I think is my personal favorite landing spot, although it seems like a long shot at this point after some of the stuff that's come out. The San Francisco Giants sit at plus 650 odds to sign Shohei Ohtani. Let's be real. The last few seasons, they've spent kind of toiling in mediocrity. What would toiling in mediocrity without like a bona fide superstar? The Yankees in 2023 were 82 and 80. They were mid. They were damn near the definition of mid. And they have Aaron Judge and Cy Young winner Garrett Cole on their team. The Giants just barely missed out on finishing at 500, finishing 79 and 83 without a superstar. What would Shohei Ohtani look like in that lineup? Could he, make a difference in that organization in terms of not just this upcoming season, but then moving forward? If he did do a short-term deal, I think it would definitely motivate the Giants to go out there, spend money, bring in guys, and try to just get a quick championship and then let him walk in free agency.
Of course, he would fit well on the Giants. He would fit well on any team, to be quite honest with you. It doesn't really matter where you look. Like we've said multiple times already on this, just in this conversation, any team could use a guy like Shohei Ohtani. There's no real reason to not have a guy like Shohei Ohtani on your team, or rather not want to have a guy like Shohei Ohtani on your team. When you look at the Giants, we know they're willing to spend money. We know that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to get Aaron Judge last offseason. They had Carlos Correa on a pretty big contract until the injury stuff. We all know what happened with that. That was just a fiasco in itself, yes. So they're willing to spend money, and I think it's a smart thing, and they are on the West Coast. We talked about how Ohtani would prefer to stay on the West Coast, so it makes sense to me in that sense. But I don't know. I don't know if I would like Shohei Ohtani on the Giants. I certainly think it would be more fun to see him on a different team. One of those teams maybe being similar to the Cubs that I was going to mention, the Texas Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to the Cubs in the sense of, obviously they're coming off a World Series, so it's not the exact same as the Cubs. The Cubs didn't even make the playoffs. But in the sense of, we know that they are willing to spend money. Corey Seager and Marcus Semien are making so much money. It's not even funny. I think the Rangers are a team that would say, here's some money. Here's some money, Shohei. You're coming here. We just won a championship. Let's go win another one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a great narrative and a great pitch to Shohei. So the Rangers I see as a huge possibility to sign him as well.
All right. The Rangers have plus 900 odds to sign Shohei Ohtani, which honestly makes sense. It would not surprise me if that number has creeped ever so close to 100. I do think that because they just won a World Series and we know how motivated Shohei Ohtani is to win in Major League Baseball, I think it makes a lot of sense to say, hey, 3-year deal, 2+1 type of deal. Get me on your roster. You just won a World Series without me. Imagine trying to redo it all with me.
Yep.
I could definitely see that. Another team that I could definitely see trying to bank it all, depending on, of course, other moves that need to be made for this team, the New York Yankees. I mean, it's a big name free agent, and it's the New York Yankees. The most luxurious, the most well-off franchise in sports right now in the world. They have a lot of money. They will always be linked to a free agent. My
biggest thing with the Yankees was they wish.
I don't know.
You can link the Yankees to as many big name free agents as you want. At the end of the day, they wish that they were really in it for Ohtani. I do not see the Yankees as a genuine candidate to land Shohei Ohtani. I think people can say that they are a genuine candidate to land Shohei Ohtani, but I do not believe it for a single second.
I understand that. However, I will say that I think their owner is getting frustrated. They haven't had a World Series appearance or a World Series win since that 2009 World Series when their stadium first opened.
I don't think he fits to the mold of what they're trying to do in this offseason. I think they're more going for the Yamamoto, Bellinger, and then try to trade for Soto type thing. I don't really think Shohei Ohtani fits into what they're trying to accomplish this offseason. So I don't think that they're really going to make that aggressive push. I think that's just them being the Yankees. You can make the storyline of they're just going to get Shohei Ohtani type thing. You can easily do that.
I agree with you. I understand that, but I do think that it should be taken a little bit more seriously than what it seems as the surface level, because I felt the same way originally, but then I thought about it a little bit more and more, and when you look at that franchise and you look at the names that have gone through there and you see like, hey, the best thing that's happened to them since 2009 was honestly that 2017 team that took the Astros to 7 games in the ALCS. And if you're the New York Yankees, that's not how you want to be perceived. That's not how you want to be remembered over the last 15 years. And that can all be mitigated by bringing a guy like Shohei Ohtani. Not only does it massively increase your revenue if you're a businessman in the Yankees organization, but it makes your ball club pretty damn good to have Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani in the same lineup.
I still think thinking about it, it's just not. It's not what they're trying to do this offseason. They're trying to trade for Juan Soto, sign Bellinger, sign Yamamoto, and I think that they would quite honestly rather do that. Yes, Shohei Ohtani brings in revenue. Think about how much money Yamamoto, Bellinger, and Soto would bring in.
Yeah.
So
they definitely have me for a few tickets a year.
Yeah, I don't see the Yankees being a real competitor for Shohei. Another team that a lot of mostly fans of this team are saying that they're in the race for, that I just don't see either. I'm not buying it, is the Atlanta Braves. A lot of Braves fans out there saying we are going to get Ohtani, we're going to spend the money. The Braves do not spend a lot of money.
Not how
they try to absolutely rob guys, and they successfully rob guys. Rob in the sense of just getting them on really cheap contracts for really good players.
Shout out Ozzy Albies.
I just don't see them spending that money on Shohei Ohtani. I don't think that's a real possibility. The most interesting team, in my opinion, is the Boston Red Sox. Because in my head, I've been saying it for the last few weeks, I genuinely don't know if they're going to be spending money this offseason. We don't know.
We've talked about it a few times on this podcast.
Right. We won't know until the winter meetings. Because the winter meetings is where a lot of this is going to go down. And that's when we'll find out whether or not the Red Sox are for real in spending money, or it's just,
a facade.
Another... We'll fire the guy. We'll fire the guy that everyone's blaming and just bring in another guy, make them excited
to do
for
the
a little
same
bit,
thing,
hold them over, type thing. So we'll see what the Red Sox kind of do. I could see them, if they are truly spending money, I could see them being a heavy competitor to land Shohei.
I could see that. I understand that. So I actually, prior to us recording, I had written down 5 teams, that in my opinion I don't think have a realistic shot at signing Shohei Ohtani. We already talked about the Mets, which it was one of the teams that I wrote down. We just spoke briefly about the Red Sox, which I think you and I are on the same page. The next team that I had written down was the Philadelphia Phillies. And it's not because they don't have the money. I just don't think that there's a world where he honestly fits. Like, yes, adding Shohei Ohtani to your lineup makes sense, but then what's your lineup looking like? Like, then
it just doesn't make sense to me. I agree.
It wouldn't
I don't
look
think
right.
I think that they're paying too many guys. I don't think they'd be able to throw that much money at another guy.
Yep.
And I just, like you said, I don't know exactly how well he would fit into that.
Which is crazy to say.
He would fit.
Absolutely
he would fit.
Crazy.
Let's be honest. He would fit into that lineup, especially with Harper not DHing anymore. But it's just more of I just don't see that.
That would then force Schwarber to play left field again.
Yeah,
in order to stay in the lineup.
I just don't really see the vision for the Phillies. So.
Yeah, another team that I just put LOL next to this, the Angels.
No,
I think
he's not going back.
Shohei just wants out of Anaheim more than anything else. And then the last team, which there's been rumors for some reason about this team signing Shohei Ohtani as if they don't have a million other things to worry about, and that is the Toronto Blue Jays.
No.
No way in hell do they go and sign Shohei when they have yet to sign Vlad or Bo Bichette to long-term deals.
Yeah, Vlad, Bo Bichette,
Kevin Biggio, the trio.
Okay, well, let's settle down. I was gonna say Manoah, but not anymore.
Not Manoah. But definitely the Blue Jays have more.
So those are your pretender candidates
For sure. You'll see the Heyman tweet. You'll see the Bob Nightingale tweet. You might even see a Passan tweet linking them. But don't buy it for a second. That might just be a smoke screen. That's just people typing stuff to get clicks more than anything. Shohei's name is hot. That's the whole reason why we're recording a whole episode for one free agent, because Shohei's name is hot. It's going to be interesting to see what teams get linked to him, what teams pursue him. The last team that I really thought about, but I again think that this is a long shot to no chance, is the oh my god, what's the team? The bird. The Cardinals, excuse me.
Okay.
The Cardinals.
The bird.
Yeah. In my head, I wanted to say Rockies, but that's just because I'm looking at a list of all the teams, and the Rockies logo popped out to me first. Apologies on that. But the Cardinals were linked to him last year at the trade deadline, and everyone was like, oh, Lars Nootbaar played on Team Japan to recruit Shohei Ohtani. No, he didn't. He played on Japan because, yes, he is part Japanese. He has ethnicity there. Yeah. And he knew that was the best damn team in the world. He wanted to win something.
I don't know.
No chance the Cardinals sign.
Cardinals pretty interesting. It would be funny.
It would be funny.
I want to, not to kind of rush to bring this episode to an end, but I do want to get to our predictions about where we think Shohei Ohtani will be landing. Do you want to make your prediction first? You can either say team or the contract type.
I'll give you it all. I'll give it all.
Go for it.
I've been saying it since the start of the season, 2023 season. I genuinely think that Shohei Ohtani to the Texas Rangers on a 2+, I'll call it a mutual option, at like $170, $180 million total.
$180 million. Oh, I guess 3 years.
For 3 years is more than possible, and I think that's going to be my final prediction on Shohei Ohtani. And man, would it be fun if it was true?
Yeah, I have a similar thing to you, to be quite honest. I won't say the team. I won't say the team just yet, but I will say I think it will be a 2-year deal. Okay. Possibly add on that 3rd year, but again, it would have to either be a team option or a mutual option. The team would need a way out for sure, and I don't think Shohei would really necessarily need the way out either. I think year 1, we will be seeing him get $40 million no matter what way you look at it. He is hitting, and I think his bat is worth $40 million for a full season. Year 2, I think you get the $40 million for the bat. I think he'll be hitting in year 2, so you give him $40 million in year 2. And then he can get up to another $40 million depending on how he pitches. Incentive-based, he can get up to $80 million in year 2. Obviously, those incentives, he would have to be the same pitcher he was before. He would have to come like top 3 Cy Young voting-esque similar to actually make that $40 million, because $80 million in 1 year, you'd have to get a MVP and Cy Young contender type of guy.
Yeah.
So I think incentive-based, he could reach another $40 million and get paid for that extra year. And then I think if you're looking at the 3rd year, if there is an option, team option, mutual option, whatever you want to call it, I think you could see him get again anywhere from 60 to 80 million in that 3rd year, depending on what they want to do with that. I looked at it more of sticking to the 2-year kind of option, see how he pitches, but adding that team option or mutual option would also make a lot of sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we're talking about what team I think it's going to be,
the $1 million question.
I'm going to be honest. I do not want to make a prediction. I do not want to make a prediction for the team because it has come out literally within the last day or two. Shohei Ohtani wants to keep negotiations private, and if anything comes out about him meeting with teams, if the teams leak any information about when they meet with Shohei, he will be holding teams accountable and taking that into consideration when he winds up making his decision. So say the Dodgers interview him and have a discussions with him, and then 2 days later it comes out that the Dodgers talk to Shohei. There's only one way that information gets out, and that's through the Dodgers. So someone in the Dodgers leaked that information to someone, and Shohei would be like, wow, I don't like that. I've told you that I want this to be private. You shouldn't have told anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'll go sign with another team. So I'm going to make my team prediction just based on which team I think it would be the most fun to see him go to, and I am going to say that's the Chicago Cubs.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
All right, I like that.
And that's all I got.
So would you call it a 2-year deal? Can we get a final number? 2-year deal with
No, I'm not going to give a final number. I don't have a final number.
Okay.
I explained what I think the contract could look like.
All right.
I don't need an official.
Well, I like your prediction. I like my prediction. I'm excited to see what team winds up with Shohei Ohtani and what the number would be, because let's be real, if he wanted to right now, he could sign the most lucrative deal in all of sports history.
Regardless of which way you look at it, it's going to be a fun free agency to follow. It's going to be intense. There's going to be a lot of surprises, probably, especially if this information does remain private about who he's meeting with when he's meeting with them. And again, regardless of where he plays next season, I'm interested to see if, not next season, but the 2025 season, he can come back as the same pitcher, what his contract will look like, and if he can obviously make it to October baseball, and not just October baseball, but a World Series and win a World Series. That's his main goal. So
for sure,
that's my final thoughts on Shohei Ohtani, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see the rest.
I'm excited to see where he signs. I do hope that he signs during the winter meetings when all the reporters can then talk to the GM right away of whatever team he signs with, because I'm going to want to hear what that was like negotiating with arguably the greatest player that baseball has ever seen.
Yeah. So time will tell on the answers. We appreciate you guys watching along, listening along for the Shohei Ohtani episode, the Unicorn Special, as some are calling it.
Yeah. Let us know where you think he's going to sign.
Yes, let us know where you think he's going to go. If he's going to get that long term or short term, let us know in the comments or DM us or whatever, however you want to reach us. We want to know what you guys think.
Mm-hmm.
And
for sure.
With that being said, that's all I got.
That's all I got as well.
We thank you guys for watching again. Make sure you subscribe and follow the podcast. Share with your friends. That would mean a lot. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you guys in the next one. A peace.